Hi, today I want to talk to you about 2 TED Talks that changed my life. Why am I doing this in a video blog? Because whilst I've written about a couple of these situations before, there is just a lot of emotion and there's a lot of stuff that I want to convey that I feel like I can convey verbally, so in an audio and a video form. So thank you for listening in. Okay, the 2 TED Talks that changed my life. Number 1, Brené Brown, Vulnerability, 20 minutes. Story about that was I'd been experiencing a bit of a rough patch in terms of my mental health, so my anxiety and depression was not great. I wasn't in a good place, and like I often do, I went and sought help for it. So I'd already done all of the things that typically work for me, making sure my exercise is right, sleeping, all sorts of things, meditation. But at this time, I thought I need a bit of extra help. I need some other strategies to help me get back on track and be well. So I engaged a counsellor, a therapist, psychologist. And part of the onboarding, so let's see, I go to her and we have our first meeting, blah, 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 we're talking away, what's going on for you. So she gets into, okay, so let's work out what we're going to work on. I said, okay, before we go any further, I just want to say to you, I don't want to relitigate my childhood. I don't want to, I had a great childhood. I've got a terrific mum and dad. I've got awesome sisters. I had a very happy childhood. That is not the issue here. So let's please not waste any time with all that crap. And can we get to the here and now and get into solutions? She went, yeah, sure. No worries, Michelle. You're the client. You will do what you like. And for some of you who have watched Brené Brown's Vulnerability TED Talk, you're probably having a little smile to yourself now because you know what's coming. So we finish off the hour and she's given me some techniques, and I was like, this is okay. And all right, we'll get there. It'll probably take a few sessions. Nothing gets fixed in one session. And as I'm going, she said, right, hands me a bit of paper. She said, this is your homework. And on the bit of paper was, I want you to watch. She said, this is a TED Talk. I want you to watch Brené Brown, Vulnerability. I went, yep, cool, okay, whatever. So, of course, I went out, got back to work, went home, wherever I went, yeah, that was nice, and completely forgot about my homework until it was time to go for my next appointment. And I jumped into the taxi to go there and went, oh, shit, I haven't watched that bloody TED Talk. So I put the earphones in and started watching on the way to the appointment. Fortunately, it was about a 45-minute drive. Wow. I think the taxi driver might have thought, holy crap, what's going on in the back of this cab here? Because this woman's going, oh, me. I'm going, what? Oh, my God, laughing, crying, and, generally having light bulbs going off or aha moments going off all the way through. So, of course, I get to my therapist's place of work. I rush on in and go, oh, my God, Brené Brown, Vulnerability. How amazing is that? And she went, you just watched it, didn't you? I went, yeah, I know. Yep. And she goes, well, at least you watched it. So what did Brené Brown's Vulnerability TED Talk do for me? It started a process for me about unlocking myself. So I had been attempting to be completely invulnerable my entire adult life. In fact, probably earlier than that. Put on the suit of armour, then the other suit of armour just in case. Armour up so that I can't get hurt or feel ashamed or feel embarrassed or, in fact, preferably not feel anything at all. And as a result of not being hurt and all that kind of stuff, what I effectively did was pushed a lot of people away from seeing who I am truly. And how that translated, and I want to talk about this in the context of my leadership and my career. How that translated was that I had created this really interesting version of myself that I presented to the world. This version of myself ran hard, played hard, worked hard, drank hard, swore hard. I still do that. And she was the hard woman, and gets shit done, but might leave a couple of bodies by the wayside, but gets shit done. I had people say things like, oh, geez, it's good you're here, Michelle. We've got a restructure to do and we know that you'll nail it because, you haven't got much emotion, you haven't got much heart. What? And then So part of that reckoning, that point of reckoning that I got to was, but that's not who I am. And I do actually want people to see me for who I am, really am. All of me, which is, yes, I am very much a get shit done person. Yes, I'm efficient. Yes, I'm driven. Yes, I'm ambitious. But I'm also very, very kind. I'm very generous. I'm very inclusive. And I care deeply about stuff, and I care deeply about the people, particularly the people that I lead or I'm responsible for leading. So that TED Talk set me on a path of really discovering my authentic leadership, shedding this armour that I had been wearing for such a long time. And it was scary. Don't get me wrong, you have to do the work here. It was scary, but it meant I leapt into the new version of me, which is actually the real version of me. What was the result? I had a hell of a lot more energy because I didn't have to armour up all the time. I wasn't using all this energy to mask who I really was. I started really enjoying, really enjoying leadership and getting stuff done. And it helped me to get to where I am now, which is following my bliss and authentically leading in all of the stuff I do about diversity, equity and inclusion. So that's the first TED Talk that changed my life, Brené Brown's TED Talk on vulnerability. The second TED Talk that changed my life, I came into contact with not so long, about 18 months after I entered into the Brené Brown world. And the TED Talk was by Susan Colantuno, and it is called The Career Advice You Probably Didn't Get. Now, for any of you who listen to the podcast I do with Mel Butcher or Lead to Soar, you'll know what I'm talking about because this is the work that we do around leadership for women, and it's not fixing women. But this TED Talk really highlighted to me that there is a thing called the missing 33%. And the missing 33% for women is business, strategic and financial acumen. And can I say straight up, this does not mean that women are deficient. The missing 33% is missing because more often than not, now really, if you're a woman watching this, I want you to reflect, more often than not, in fact, in 97% of cases, over the course of their careers, the career advice, the coaching, the mentoring, the training, the conferences, whatever it may be, that women are exposed to or receive is not based on business, strategic and financial acumen. It is not helping them to lead at the next level. It is not helping them think like a CEO. What it most often is how to use your personal greatness, so your strengths, your values, your worldview, how to engage the greatness in others, so leading teams, relationship management, communication. And it is not based on the stuff that, frankly, your CEO wants you to pay attention to. So when I discovered this TED Talk as a part of a onboarding of a business, my own business, and another one that I was consulting to, I learned that whilst I had business, strategic and financial acumen, very, very fortunate that I have had some great mentors, some great bosses over the course of time, what I hadn't been doing was demonstrating that I had that stuff. So my missing 33% was not knowing that I had to demonstrate by using the language of power, which is the language of business outcomes, all the time. So the second TED Talk that changed my life and set me on the path, which I'm on today, still on with all of you, helping to close the global leadership gender gap, was thanks to Susan Colantuno. Now, a bit of a footnote there. Susan and I subsequently got to work together, and we are still working together and collaborating on a whole lot of different things. So there you go. Second TED Talk that changed my life. So in summary, number one, what did I learn from those TED Talks? Number one, that I learned to be brave enough to be my authentic self. I learned to drop the armour. I learned to be real and genuine all the time. I learned how to show up in service of others all the time. Number two, I learned about my strengths and I learned about my gaps. And I learned that I was over reliant on some of my strengths, and I had not done the work to close some of my gaps. And then the third thing I learned was, well, with all of that, I got to do something about it. So yes, I know how to be an authentic leader, or what I need to do. Yes, I know what my strengths are, and yes, I know what my gaps are. Now I've learned I got to make a plan, and my plan is, what am I going to do about that? And that's how I am, I think, the best version of myself that I've ever been, and that continues to evolve. But I can thank Brené Brown and Susan Colantuno for authoring, speaking, and distributing the 2 TED Talks that changed my life. Have a look at the notes underneath this video and you'll have access to all of the stuff that I talked about. And if you want to know more about what it is that I do, have a listen to the Lead to Soar podcast. Check in at michelleredfern.com. Join A Career That Soars, and look, I'll have all the notes below this about how you can get in contact with me. So there you go. TED Talks can change your life.